This is episode number 2.
Discover the key components of business success as we hack the minds of successful entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Business Hacker Podcast. Here's your host, David D'Souza.
Today on the show, we have a guest that embodies the hustler spirit. I'm talking multiple meal tickets, from personal training to Kindle publishing, private labeling, the list goes on. And with all the coffee he drinks, I'm not even sure he sleeps. Welcome, Chris Jones.
How you doing, David? Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, Chris. Now, before we dive into the importance of product selection perfection, why don't we find out a little bit about who Chris Jones is?
I didn't know I was that interested, but after a few of the private messages and stuff, I guess I'll be happy to answer that now, David. So I started out as a personal trainer. I was going through some dead-end jobs as like a teenager, probably just like most teenagers do, until I started to really find a passion in kind of training, nutrition, and things like that. So a lot of people didn't actually know this about me, especially for the people that I've started working with in the Amazon industry. So I started out as a personal trainer, working in pretty respectable clubs around the UK, self-employed, and I was employed by one club, and I did that for 5 years. And I did that for 5 years with a good passion. I built myself up with, quite a good name within the industry in the local area. But from there, it just seemed like the busier I got, the hours just kept rising. And as you know, David, when the hours rise, your personal time goes down, and your time to do other things and more important tasks in your life and for other people's lives, like your relationship, your family and friends, that decreases, unfortunately. The problem with me was all of these hours were going up, but it didn't seem like my pay was rising. And I thought to myself one day, how is this ever going to change or get better for me? So I came to like a rut, and I remember just one night, just putting my kind of hands on my head and thinking, I have to do something different. So I remember going home one night and typing in on Google, this was the exact sentence. I typed in, how do I make money while I sleep? And from there, I came across Kindle Direct Publishing, as you said in the introduction. So for people who don't know, that is pretty much publishing ebooks, so content writing on Amazon, and then for people to buy those ebooks from there. And then from there, I started to earn a couple of £100 a month. I eventually quit my job, and then I started to look down the Amazon FBA route, which was starting my own private label brand, selling those products on Amazon. And pretty much I'm 18 months down the line from starting, and the rest is history, David.
Wow, that definitely sounds like a bit of a roller coaster of success. What would you say is your biggest success or biggest accomplishment to date, Chris?
I would personally say it was, the first year of my Amazon FBA business, and this was strictly selling on Amazon UK. I turned £250,000 in revenue, so total sales. Now, not to get that wrong with people who think that's profit, money in my pocket, because it's not. That's actual sales, that's turnover of a business. And I remember, David, I was on £1,100 a month at one stage in my personal training career, which, you can do the math. And when I stepped out of that, the first 12 months of my new Amazon FBA business, working 4 hours a day after it was all done, after the hard initial work was put in, I made sales of £250,000, which was, it's just crazy, because I was, before starting all of this stuff, I was one of those kind of skeptics who was thinking, the get-rich-quick schemes and all of this, it was near impossible, or didn't really, it wasn't real. And until I actually started to implement some actions and put them all into practice, and after the sales started to come in from the first day of our sales, which was 92 sales on the first day, which was unbelievable. It was more than £2,000 UK in 24 hours. And I just thought, I have to replicate this model and take full advantage of it. And it's just unbelievable. So that's got to be the biggest achievement, turning, £250,000 in the first 12 months of business.
Mate, that's certainly incredible. From, £1,100 a month to 2K in 24 hours. That's quite phenomenal. So I guess let's just wind it back a little bit. For those of us who are out there and may not know what private labeling is, what is it?
So private labeling is pretty much, okay, so I'm gonna take the coffee glass that is in front of me, because as you know me, David, I do love my coffee. So I've got my coffee glass in front of me here, and it's just a plain glass. Okay, so I'm just looking at a coffee glass. What private labeling is pretty much you can manufacture your own products from a supplier around the world, overseas in China, Sri Lanka, the US, the UK, if you like, and you can pretty much put your own personalized label on that product. Okay. And you can sell that online as your own brand within your company. So private labeling pretty much is selecting a product that is selling well online, in life, and on Amazon in general, okay, if that's the route you want to go down, putting your own label or your engravement in that product, okay, so it's a white label product. You're putting your label onto that product, and then you're simply putting that online as selling that as your own branded products.
Wow. And you said you did how many sales in this time?
Just getting that up, actually. It is 24,000 units total we've done in the last 17 and a half months.
Those are some pretty serious numbers. So are you doing multiple channels or just Amazon?
No, so this is solely on Amazon UK, believe it or not. So, I actually am launching a new product in the US as of March. So at the moment, those sales are strictly from the UK and some sales from Germany from expanding there. So yeah, I mean the market's huge. You can be in Canada on Amazon, you can be in Mexico, the US, you can be in Germany, Italy, Spain, France, the UK. The list goes on. So you can see the potential of this platform if I'm just selling in one area, which is the UK. If you were to leverage all of these sales channels, different platforms on Amazon and off Amazon, like Shopify, your own e-com store, eBay, things like that, then, the sky's the limit. And for people wondering why I haven't branched out to the US, I have branched out to the US. I made a poor decision about 8 months ago, and I brought out a product that didn't sell well at all. From there, I've reevaluated the whole process. I've took my time, I've been patient, and now I focused on bringing a new and exclusive product to the US market in March 2017, which I'm very excited about.
So I've got to ask, Chris, how many different SKUs or products do you have? And how long did it take you to build up to this point?
Okay, so we launched with one product. Okay, so the first product we launched, that was, it went on to do 92 sales on the first day because I'd done a lot of Facebook marketing to gather those sales. And then 8 to 10 weeks later, I launched my second product. And from there, we replicated that process in the same time frame until we had about 12 to 15 products. Okay, so from that 12 to 15 products, I then upscaled again. But this was a mistake that I made. I actually went too fast with this process, and I launched another 6 or 7 products without even giving the time or patience to consider if those products were even selling online, which was a rushed process, and it almost put my business under. So this is why I always say to people, take your time with product selection, learn from my mistakes, do not release multiple products at once, release one product at one given time, focus on getting the maximum amount of sales for that certain product, and then scaling up in a sensible and controllable manner, making sure it's financially and time efficient when you do or before you do. So at the moment, I'm sitting on 12 products, decreased the range back to 11. But from those 12 products, only 7 or 8 of those products really sell well to make up the revenue that we're currently doing. And then, my goal is from March of 2017 to release one product in the US, and that one product to do $25,000 per month on all of the statistics that I've worked out. So it's just gonna upscale from there. But I've learned my lesson not to launch multiple products at once and to scale very, very slowly.
You definitely just mentioned a lot of pearls of wisdom just there. But do you have any specific product selection advice that you would give to new players who are looking to enter the game?
Yes. So one of the big determining factors now, David, okay, before it was getting reviews. That's great because, before we could give away products in October, Amazon changed their review terms of service, so you could no longer give away your product in an exchange that's with the intention of asking someone to leave a review on your product. Great. I'm actually very happy that they've cancelled out that rule now, because that means if big players with a lot of capital startup were to come into your market, they could dominate your market, even if you were working hard to build your brand up for 12, 18 months. So now the biggest determining factor, guys, is to really focus, and I really would like you to engrave and think about this, is to focus on differentiation of your product. Now, what I mean by that is have a look at the product you're going to sell or looking to sell on Amazon. Look through the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth page of that main keyword, something like yoga mat, and make sure you are doing something completely different, unique and exciting from all of the rest of your competition, so you can stand out leaps and bounds from the rest. So you don't have to compete on price. You can be a price setter as opposed to a price changer. And that has got to be the biggest thing. Differentiate your market, differentiate your product, so people will buy your product over everybody else's because it's different, because it's better quality, it's got something different to offer. That has got to be one of the biggest factors of success moving forward in 2017.
So Chris, let's take it one step further. And could you perhaps give us an example of a product that you may have differentiated in the past, or ways of differentiating a product?
Yes. So I sell coffee, David. So I sell coffee beans in the UK. And I knew that the genericness of coffee on the first 3-5 pages for that main keyword on Amazon were, it was Rainforest Alliance coffee. So it was mostly a mixture between different blends of coffee. So in a bag, it would be Ethiopian beans, Kenyan beans, Rwandan beans, all in one. So what I wanted to stand out and differentiate from the rest was to bring out single origin coffee beans, which was, Costa Rican beans on its own as one unit, and then Rwandan beans as a next. So what I tried to do was move away from the generic blend and try and bring out a specific single origin coffee that directed to one location, which worked really well. And from there, you have a different point of marketing, a nice USP, a unique selling point that people can see that you've tried to differentiate. And it all comes from that. It comes from your imagination. Think outside the box when it comes to this. Don't be scared to take risks, take leaps and bounds away from the rest, because that's either going to make you, or it's going to teach you a valuable lesson either way. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've worked on, and one of the successes that has come from my coffee business.
So Chris, you've just mentioned this key concept of differentiating that you use when going ahead to select a product. Do you have any other key criteria that you use to ensure that one chooses a successful product?
I mean, product selection is, it's kind of a tough phase. I get multiple questions on social media about this every single day. I'm just going to be honest and say that this business is a roller coaster. People ask me, Chris, can you guarantee me £10,000 a month if you're going to coach me? And, personally, in all honesty, I can't, and nobody else can. Otherwise, they'd be a billionaire within this industry and the biggest player out there. When it comes to product selection, I think going through the step-by-step processes, taking your time being one of the biggest factors within that phase, and really gaining confidence in the product you've chosen, okay, but obviously you can't guarantee success, sales, and high revenue from that selection, but you can further confirm your decision by using things like Google Trends. Okay, so Google Trends is something you can type in your main keyword after doing a bit of research on Amazon. Head over to Google Trends and tap that in, and Google will show you the trend imbalances if that product's main keyword is an upscale trend, is a maintenance trend, or a dying trend. And from there, it can help you to further confirm your decision. I'm not going to say guarantee or promise, but can definitely help to confirm your product decision and help to see if that's selling online, on Amazon, and in life in general, and not just on one platform. I hope that makes sense.
Look, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, Chris, if I was just to sum up what you have just said, would it be correct to say if you do rush the product selection stage because you're eager to start selling a product and make money, that chances are you'll just end up with a failed product that doesn't sell?
Yes, correct. Because I've been through that phase. I released multiple products at one given time, and I've experienced that failure firsthand. I mean, my failure cost me £18,000, not me, but the business. And, we had to work out some stuff with the suppliers to get them paid back. And it was just a big failure. But I'm so glad that happened so I can teach other people not to make the same mistakes. For every failure is a given success. And I truly believe that. So I'm just happy it happened to me so I can teach and acknowledge that to other people to really, really take their time with this phase. This is a make or break phase. If you do not do this properly, the risk of failure is higher, most definitely.
So what would you say, Chris, that your biggest failure to date is, and how could a beginner avoid that?
I would personally say the one we've just gone over. So I would, honestly, it's releasing multiple products at once with minimal time and effort being placed into that product selection phase. And I think that has to be one of the biggest failures, because that cost me £18,000 UK from releasing so many products at once, not doing proper and sensible product research on the products that I was going to release. And that left me with a shed load of inventory on Amazon. And, I had to lower the prices for them to get them cleared. And it was just a churning process that meant I had to really sell those products near cost price to get them shifted from my inventory to pay the suppliers back their full amount. So, take your time. I really cannot emphasize that enough. Take your time and make sure it's financially and time stable before you choose any product and negotiate any prices with suppliers.
So, Chris, I guess that begs the question, how do you know, or how do you go about deciding that a product is selling well enough and, you're ready to go ahead and actually launch a second or a third or a fourth product?
Okay, so this, I think, comes from personal targets. This is my opinion on expansion. So I wanted to hit 15 sales per day, consistently for about 6 to 8 weeks with my first product release before I considered moving on to a second. So again, that was a personal target. I wasn't sure how much the market was doing in that phase because I wasn't using any softwares to really calculate that. So I picked a number. I wanted to hit 15 sales per day for 6 weeks before I considered releasing a second product. And that was a personal target of mine. Now, what you can do these days is use a software to see how many sales in the month a certain product is doing before going into that market and set your target based on that software's calculations. Or you can do it the personal way like I did. And I think that's a really good way to do it. If you want to hit 50 sales on one product before moving on, great. Or if you want to hit 5 sales on your first product before moving on to the second, that's great too. It's all about personal targets. And I think that's one of the best ways to go. In a way, David, I think it minimizes the overwhelm. It can put like a nice gist on things, looking forward to hitting that amount of sales in the day or in the month.
Okay, great. And what was the name of the softwares that you referred to?
I've used a range of softwares. I mean, the two that I really like are AMZ Tracker, that's AMZ Tracker, and Jungle Scout from Greg Mercer. So Greg Mercer's a great guy. We speak consistently over Skype and things like that. And he's created a great software, which is Jungle Scout. And that helps you to really analyze a product and really minimize the risk of product selection before diving in and messaging suppliers for samples and mass confirmation of order and things like that. So for beginners, these softwares are great, especially Jungle Scout with their Chrome extension and all the calculators of their revenue, their sales and reviews. It's definitely something to look into if you're a beginner. And also in advance because, as advanced sellers, we always need to release new products. And that software and those two softwares can really help that. So that's great.
That's really helpful, Chris. Now, just delving a little bit deeper into product selection, do you worry about product cannibalization? So, for example, say you're selling coffee in the same category. Would you then bring out your second product in a different category? Or do you go ahead and bring out your product in the same category to complement the existing product range that you have?
I would personally, in my personal opinion and my target, I would like to stay in the same category at the moment because I've built an authority within my coffee business and I know what people like. We're getting customers, repeat customers every month. And for me to release a new product and like a new line of brand, I think it might throw the current brand off and my focus in another direction. So I would like to maximize the sales through the coffee business before considering into another category.
That's really interesting. Now, Chris, I want to rewind it back to earlier in the podcast where you mentioned something very interesting as well. You said that you viewed Amazon's change in their terms and conditions regarding the review process as a good thing. So what are your views on the future of private label selling on Amazon?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, private labeling has been around for years, as you know. It's been around for ages. And I just think it's going in a direction where it's going to become harder to sell, most definitely, because of the changes on Amazon. But regardless of that, I'm going to talk in general in life now. Private labeling is going to be hard. There's more sellers coming into the platform on life, not just online. And they're trying to sell and upscale to, new multiple markets, which some would consider being a fear of saturation. Now, I only fear the saturation factor if everyone was to bring out the same product. And this rolls back to the differentiation aspects, David, that we talked previously about. So again, it might seem like I'm repeating myself here, but I see for the people who think ahead of the game and who can be the most creative with their products and private label brands and bring out new, exciting and unique aspects to their products and business, those are the ones who are going to succeed at this long term. You're always going to get the people who want the short-term results, the short-term gratification, but the true long-standing and successful players will always seek the long-term investment through differentiation of uniqueness and design, function, quality, company concept, and all of that good stuff. So I see it going wherever the most successful and creative people are.
Do you believe then if there's constantly new people coming into the market, constantly analyzing existing products, if you are differentiating that people are just going to go ahead and copy that and that it really is a case of you've got to go ahead and relaunch new products and re-differentiate them constantly?
Possibly, maybe that's a part of it, but then that again is part of the whole game anyway. Those who stay ahead of the game will win. And I think, as entrepreneurs, you have to think way ahead of where the market is and where the market is or potentially is going. And I think that's what's going to stand and help people stand above water then.
Now, Chris, there's no doubt that you've demonstrated your knowledge and that you know a lot. However, I'm conscious that we don't just wake up one day and suddenly know how to build up a £300,000 private label brand. Have you had any mentors or perhaps gone ahead and undertaken any trainings that have been really beneficial to yourself?
I have actually self-taught myself the whole process from start to finish. Many people, are kind of shocked at that and how I've learned so much in such a short space of time. But what people really don't see is, this is in my story on my blog, on my website. I remember I pretty much locked myself in my room, David, for about 7 months. So I started to research this business model. And I remember just locking myself in my room for 7 months straight, 16 hours a day. I was reading, I was watching YouTube videos on how to become an Amazon seller, how to differentiate, how to make sales, every single thing you could think of. I self-taught myself, and I wanted to turn myself from a student to the teacher. And, I wasn't really going to come out that room except for eating, drinking water, and maybe having a half an hour workout a day until that was perfected and achieved. I still do those processes, maybe not to the scale that I was before, because I've got new ventures on the side, new project, new tasks to take on. But I think the key to learning something inside out is to go through that process, to cut off life in a way and just focus purely on yourself and where you want to take the business that you believe could be massively successful.
That certainly seems very intense. I guess then, what are your thoughts on, I suppose, paid coaching, training products relative to the people out there who just say you can YouTube it, you can Google it?
Yeah, this is like a tricky subject for everyone because I've gone through the self-teaching process for myself. So that shows the fact that you can do it yourself without any coaching in terms of one-to-one coaching, via Skype with these so-called gurus and stuff like that. So there is ways you can self-teach yourself. Now, the only thing with that, as I've just demonstrated, it takes time. It takes a lot of effort and patience, blood, sweat, and tears, David. But the good thing about personalized coaching and one-to-one is that you get to work with someone if you trust them and they have a nice authority and credibility within that market, that you can work with them on a one-to-one basis, and it will save you a lot of time and, in fact, money, because you can earn that money back very fast if you have a good coach on hand. There's some great, free content out there on blogs, vlogs, YouTube channels, and things like that, especially Facebook too. People are always posting stuff on Facebook forums. So I think personally, people should learn as much as they can for free at the start and really utilize the time they have. And when they come to a crossroads, or maybe they don't believe that they can go any further without a coach, then I feel reaching out to someone who knows the processes to help them further would be beneficial.
Would you say, Chris, that there's, I guess, definitely a trade-off between time and money? Or, if you're working full-time, perhaps you may be actually time poor, so paying for a course is better. But if you're fortunate, like yourself, and you have time, that you can then lock yourself in a room, and that maybe then paid coaching is not the best option?
Yes, yeah, most definitely. Taking, to the extent that I did 16 hours a day, I didn't have a job, I quit, I moved home. So I knew that I had a roof over my head, food on my plate. So the fear of bringing money in at that time wasn't so much of a fear, because I knew I was covered in a way from my family, which was great. But for the other people in this world who don't have those luxuries of staying at home, then I think a coach would be good, because it would only take maybe an hour a week of your time to hook up with them on a Skype coaching call and go over the step-by-step processes of what it'll take for you to start up, start selling, and maybe the retirement of your business after you've made a great amount of sales.
Now, Chris, I understand you've recently released your own training. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've actually released my own online course called the Amazon Superstar. Its official launch was on the 14th of November 2016. It was a very successful launch. I'd been marketing the course for 2 or 3 months prior to that. The actual course structure teaches people, the processes of how to create and perfect your own Amazon product listing, which is very, very specific to any other courses that you see online. There might be the generic course that teaches that subject, but I like to pride myself and my business and the Amazon Superstar course that I've created and wrote on its very specific elements, teaching you in-depth processes of all of the stuff you need to know to create and maximize your product listing to convert at the highest potential when PPC, that's Amazon's pay-per-click, is turned on, and to add the most amount of exposure to your product page as possible. So I go through, a lot of processes. It's a text and photo course. There's no videos in it currently. It is being expanded and relaunched actually next month, which is on the 14th of February 2017, which is very exciting. And that will be turned into a full-fledged Amazon course, going through every single structure, step by step, from day one to day selling your business, if you like, through the whole steps throughout that. So that's really exciting.
So just to clarify, Chris, this course is going to cover arbitrage as well as private label selling, or what's the go with the course?
So the Amazon Superstar online course is specifically private label. So I'd like to just put that out there, that it's strictly PL, private label 100%, not retail ARB. This will go through the whole processes from day one, like I said, to day X on how to launch your Amazon business successfully and make sales. So all I'm doing, David, is expanding this course now from its current stature to something that can be fully looked at from a beginner's point of view and an intermediate and advanced. So all processes being in place for the relaunch of this course come 14th of Feb 2017.
So Chris, what sort of success have your clients had with your course?
Oh, so I've seen a number of successes. So, one of my clients, David, he's moved up from $5,000 to $11,000 within the month. I'm not going to sit there and say that my course has taught these people all the processes from going from zero to hero, because obviously they've done some serious groundwork to get that momentum flowing. What my course then does is help them to optimize their product page listing even further to get more exposure to their page, where pay-per-click can convert at a more optimal rate, which will generate them more sales and revenue. I mean, some other clients, they're doing more than me per month. Some clients are starting off, they're doing $2,000 or $3,000 a month in sales. Some of the guys are doing $26,000 a month, and they're slowly scaling up, and they're referring back to the course to add in these specific elements to help them through that.
Fantastic, Chris. It seems like there's something in it for everyone, right from the beginners through to the more advanced students. Now, Chris, I believe you have a special bonus for my listeners if they subscribe through my affiliate link and purchase your course. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for every student that signs up to the course, I will be offering a 30 minutes free coaching call with myself via Skype. So we schedule that in for a time and date that is suitable for you, whether in the US or in another country in the world or the UK. We schedule that in and we'll go over everything Amazon. We'll talk about the course, we'll talk about how it works, and we'll talk about other things related to where Amazon is going and where I see it going in 2017. We'll talk about product differentiation, company growth, and separate sales channels that you can diverse to other than Amazon, which will be really powerful. And you get to speak to me one-to-one via Skype, and I hope I don't bore you. That's all. So yeah, that's a nice incentive. And also the course's current price is £397. That's $489 US. That's current. That's pre-order of the current course now before it rises to £697 UK on the 14th of February, which is this relaunch date. So for the people who want to lock that price in now, that's 50% off. So if you are serious about signing up, get in touch with me. We can talk about a few things. Jump on a coaching call with me, and we can get that in for you.
Just finally, Chris, will any purchasers who purchase the course prior to the relaunch date, will they actually go ahead and get access to the full relaunch course come February 14?
Yes, correct. So you will get all of the content, whoever signs up now, and you get all of the relaunch content, which is going to be, I'm looking at my list, probably another 15 elements, maybe 16 elements with an additional 3 bonuses. So there's going to be a lot of content there. I mean, its current form is 45,000 words in text. So I'm looking at this end course is probably going to be near around 70,000 words. And what I'm also doing is adding a video format in for every single section and sub-module too. So you can have different forms of communication. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. So for the people that buy it, they'll get the whole structure of the course, which is awesome.
That's fantastic, Chris. Finally, for a limited time only, if you head to makemoneywhilesleeping.com/businesshacker, you can sign up to Chris's course through my affiliate link, as well as listen to an exclusive recorded session with Chris on Chris's keys to successfully launching your private label brand on Amazon. Now, I just want to thank you very much for your time, Chris. It was an absolute pleasure. To my listeners, thank you very much for lending me your time. And if you've enjoyed today's session, please, please, please leave me a review on iTunes.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me on.
The Business Hacker Podcast has come to a close. To check the free training or discounts offered by today's guests, head to www.makemoneywhilesleeping.com/businesshacker.